Welcome back, everyone, to Getting In, a College Coach Conversation. We have been talking today about finalizing your college list, and we're going to pivot slightly now to talk about some of those supplemental essays that we're finding. And joining me today to go through those is Mary Sue Yun, who is my colleague here at College Coach, just like all of my previous guests today, and also a former admissions officer at Barnard and at Whittier. Hi, Mary Sue.
Hello, Beth. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well, since this is all the seeing we're doing these days. So we did a segment probably about a month and a half ago around the Why This College essay, which is a super common supplemental question that many, many colleges ask. But in thinking through the Ivies, which for better or worse get a lot of attention, and we're going to give them some today, one of the things that I note is that most of them have some version of a Why This College essay, but there's some nuance to them that I thought would be helpful if you and I went through. So we're going to jump right in. Before we start, I am going to tell everyone we're going to go with alphabetical order. So there is no other order than that. Mary Sue and I are both Cornell grads. We could have led with Cornell, but we're not going to do that. We're going to go in alphabetical order. Harvard has no Why This College essay. So if you are only applying to Harvard, then you can exit stage left because you don't need to worry about a Why This College essay for Harvard. Although my advice would be don't only apply to Harvard. That's probably a bad idea. All right. Mary Sue, Brown. Brown has, in my opinion, two Why Brown questions. I'm not going to read all these questions because I think it will take too much time, but they have one about their open curriculum and then just one about how you're going to contribute. So, and each of them is somewhere between 50 and 250 words. What kind of advice do you have on these?
I think for these, the open curriculum ones and sort of beyond the Brown curriculum, it's really important to be specific. So as an admissions officer, where I worked in admissions, we also had a question of why this college, and I think it's not good enough to just say Brown is prestigious and they have this flexible open curriculum. Everyone can say that. So
Yes.
how, really read the question. How will you use it? What types of classes are you most attracted to? I think Brown really appreciates students who are naturally inclined to take a wide spectrum of coursework. That's what they're seeking. And so you want to be able to kind of put out your full interests in that piece. But it is short, so you have to get to the point pretty quickly.
You do. The only other quick thing I would add there is that they're interested in understanding too, I think, about how you're going to combine those interests, right? So how will you bring them together? And I do think students who want the open curriculum simply so they can only take classes in their major and then do whatever they want to do is not necessarily exactly the way they're envisioning you take advantage of it. Right. Yep. Okay. Second one about contributing to the Brown community.
Yeah, so that could be something that could be clubs or activities within the university, but could also be, further out into Providence and kind of the surrounding community as well. And I think, again, here, be specific, not just I'm interested in some community service, but what type of community service do you see yourself doing? And how does that align to stuff that you've done in the past? I always say you're connecting the dots for colleges and you want to say, here's what I've done in the past. Here's what you have, and here's how those two things go together. Again, it's short, but specific is better than general.
Yes. I might say the mantra for this call today, for this segment today, is specific, better than general, because I totally agree. All right, Columbia, they have one question. It's pretty straightforward. Any additional advice here? Why are you interested in attending?
Yeah, go beyond what they would put in a view book or an email to you. So you're not writing ad copy for the college. You don't need to tell them that they're in New York City. You don't need to tell them about the wonderfulness of New York City. You can say you like New York City, but why? Why is that particularly appealing to you? So I always say, think of a little person on your shoulder, just continually saying why to you, and make sure you're answering the why behind that question. When you're naming certain things, why do those particular things appeal to you? But yeah, go beyond the general.
Yes. And the why, I think why is, I often, when I'm editing these, I say, why do you want to do this? Right. So yes. Okay. Now we're to Cornell. So what's unique about Cornell is that Cornell has, boy, off the top of my head, 7 colleges, right? Yeah, that you could
I
apply
think,
to within
yep.
Cornell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, woo. Thank God I know my alma mater. So there are 7 schools that you could apply to at Cornell. You pick one, and based on the one that you choose, you then need to respond to their essay question. Ag and life sciences, arts and sciences, College of Engineering, all pretty straightforward why this college essays. College of Architecture, Art and Planning does not have a why this college essay. Things start to get a little bit more nuanced. College of Business, Mary Sue, there are 2 schools within the College of Business. So any particular advice on writing this why this college essay?
So for this one, you do need to say why business within the lens that you're picking. So you can either do business at Cornell through the Applied Economics and Management program, which is traditionally part of the Agricultural and Life Sciences School. Sometimes it's a surprise to students to find that out, but learn a little bit of the history there. And sometimes part of the School of Hotel Administration. So I think each one kind of has a slightly different lens of looking at business, and you want to be able to clearly outline which lens you're interested in and why, again.
Right. And they do give you the opportunity to talk about both. Personally, I think you got to be careful there because you might look unfocused and like all you really want is business and you don't really care where you study it, which would then lead to, then I guess you don't really care about studying it at Cornell.
Right.
So, right. So
Yeah.
you have to be careful there. I'm not saying that there isn't a student out there who couldn't explain how they could be interested in it from both lenses. I would say, however, that you might be better off picking one or the other.
Right.
All
I
right.
think for Cornell, more than any place, they're really looking for the best match for that particular college because they are segmented into the different colleges. And there are different readers, different admissions readers for the different colleges. And so you want to make sure that your answer is not just a general, why do you like Cornell, but why do you like this program at Cornell?
Right.
So,
exactly.
And why are you a match for it?
I think for the College of Human Ecology and for the School of Industrial and Labor Relations, here it feels a little like you might not quite immediately identify that it's a why this college question, because in both cases, they're asking about your interest in your major and then your interest in the school. So any advice on these types of why this college question?
So I would say first outline kind of why you've picked the academic area that you've said you want to major in. What part of your background, if you like, within the College of Human Ecology, if you're interested in being a nutrition major, what about nutrition is really something that you want to study? So first outline sort of your background with that major and why you're particularly picking that. But then I think the second half of the essay says, okay, but what about Cornell's nutrition program is appealing to you? And so you do have to, again, connect the dots of not only the academic piece, but also the why Cornell part of it. They do give you 650 words on these. So this is, I think, the longest or one of the longer of these supplements here. So you do have enough space to kind of go into detail and use it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the balance of kind of half and half, I think, is great. I think if you can weave in your story with Cornell, I also think that's great. So rather than an essay that reads one half about you and then one half about Cornell, if you can kind of weave those two together, so much the better.
Right.
Not everyone can do it, but do your best. Okay, Dartmouth. Dartmouth has a big long preamble and a quote and all that, but at the end of the day, what that comes down to is why this college, right? What aspects of the college's program, community, or campus environment? It's only 100 words. Any advice for something really short like this?
Yeah, I think the question might be longer than the response.
I think it might be.
But 100 words, probably 3 sentences or 4 sentences. You're just hitting the highlights. What are the major things that stand out to you about Dartmouth?
Right.
So you can't do details. You can't talk about particular professors or classes really, But again, you still want to be as specific as possible and be carefully crafting those 100 words.
Yes, use them to the best of your ability. And if for you, you have one real primary reason why Dartmouth, and you could probably dig into that a little bit in 100 words. So that's another option, right? You could focus on one thing, get a little bit deeper, or you can name a couple of key, really important pieces to you. Okay, so Penn, when I worked at Penn, it was one why Penn. And a couple of years ago, they kind of chopped it, right? They didn't really change the question. They just basically were more specific. We want you to write about the academics in this one. And in the shorter one, tell us about the social sides of things. So it's pretty straightforward to me. I don't know if there's any additional advice you would give beyond what they're kind of saying in their questions.
No, it used to be 650 words in all these, and I would tell students this balance. So this is perfect. But the first 450 or so is the academic question. Last 200 is your sort of social life, clubs, activities surrounding city of Philadelphia.
Right.
But you do want to kind of divide them up. They are actually separate questions now.
Yes, exactly. And I agree. I used to say the same about the balance. One interesting nuance about Penn is that they have a number of joint degree programs, and some of those joint degree programs, like the Huntsman program in International Studies and Business and the Jerome Fisher program in Management Technology, the Nursing and Healthcare Management, and the Vagelos integrated, it's called Viper, Vagelos Integrated Program in Energy Research, are all asking for some version of why this program essays. So what's interesting is that the general advice that they will give is for you to focus on your single degree choice. So when you apply to a joint degree program at Penn, you are saying, typically, if you don't admit me to the joint degree program, then please admit me to one of the two schools at Penn that is kind of combining to offer the joint degree program. So management and technology is between Wharton and the School of Engineering. And you're going to say, hey, if you can't accept me to M&T, please accept me to engineering or accept me to Wharton. And what they want the why this college essay to be about, the why Penn, is about your single degree choice. And here is where you dig into the joint degree program. So just wanted to make that point. All right, we have 2 minutes and 2 schools. So
okay.
Princeton, pretty straightforward. If you are not applying to engineering, then there's no why this college essay. If you are applying to engineering, they have one. Any particular thoughts about this one?
Well, I think this one, so engineering essays, I live with an engineer. I have a future one also here. So I think it's just showing your engineering outlook. And I think the engineering outlook is different than a science outlook. So you want to talk about sort of what are the ways in which you try and solve problems in your life, whether those problems are apps or bridges. What do you want to design? What do you want to create? And that's really an engineering outlook. And so I think you want to approach it from that, but also, again, talk about the why this college engineering program works well for that idea.
Right, exactly. And again, they are both specifically, or Princeton is specifically asking kind of why engineering here. And it's got to be specific. Yale, same thing. Well, not quite the same thing. They have one why this college for everybody, and then one for the engineering applicants. It is virtually the same question for Yale and Princeton for engineering. So we just talked about that. Yale's other question is, what about Yale has led you to apply? That's 125 words. Feels similar to Dartmouth. I don't know if there's any additional feedback or thoughts you would give there.
Right. I think that, well, my major feedback on all of them is that it has to pass the thumb test. You can't cover up the name of the school and put in the name of another school and still have it work. If it doesn't pass that, it's not a strong enough essay for that particular school.
Exactly. If all you're saying is, I love that this school is in the city, or I love that Penn is in the city, and you have this, I love the engineering program, and I blah, blah, blah. Well, if I could put my thumb over that, and it could be about Columbia, which is also in the city, which also has an engineering program, right? So that's not going to work.
Yeah. And I would say big thing in general about IVs, they don't love it when you talk about their prestige and ranking. They know that already. Like, it doesn't add anything.
Right, exactly. I am forever striking out stuff that I say. This reads like marketing copy. If it reads like something the school might say to describe itself, that is not how you should be approaching it. It is not about how awesome the school is, no matter how awesome you think they are. It is really about, how you are going to take advantage of what's there at the school. That's what they care about at the end of the day. That's what every college cares about, but particularly the Ivies. Mary Sue, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, thank you to all my guests today. Next week, I am actually back. You're going to see a lot of me over the next couple of months, for better or worse. We're going to be covering the biggest admissions and finance myths we're hearing this year, and also how to know if you're ready to press submit on your early round of applications. If you have questions for us, send them to us, gettingin.voiceamerica@gmail.com. And don't forget, we are here every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific.